get real for a moment. Attraction doesn't fade with age, it evolves. And if you've ever felt like the dating world stopped spinning for you, I'm here to tell you it didn't. It just changed gears. And you have more power now than ever before. Ladies, this is your time. Whether you've been through heartbreak, reinvention, or rediscovery, you hold within you something magnetic, something timeless. Today, we're diving into 6 powerful shifts that unlock connection, confidence, and real chemistry with men. But stick around because I've got 2 bonus insights at the end that just might change everything you thought you knew about attraction. This isn't fluff. It's a deep transformational conversation rooted in psychology, real world experience, and the kind of wisdom that only comes with time. Let's talk about something deeply powerful, something that doesn't wrinkle, fade, or age. Emotional maturity. It's not just a quiet strength. It's a force, a presence, the kind of presence that walks into a room and doesn't need to speak to be noticed. It's felt, it's sensed, because true emotional maturity doesn't come from years. It comes from what you've lived through, healed from, and risen above. You've had your heart broken, maybe more than once. You've seen what real disappointment looks like. You've been through the kind of love that left you drained, questioning yourself, rebuilding yourself in silence while the world kept spinning. And still, you're here, stronger, wiser. That's not just resilience. That's attraction energy. Men, especially men who are done playing and ready to connect, can sense this depth immediately. It's in the way you respond instead of react. It's in the way you listen, not to reply, but to truly understand. It's in your ability to remain calm when something feels off, to communicate clearly rather than lash out or shut down. That kind of emotional steadiness is like a lighthouse in the storm. And here's the thing, that energy is rare. Emotional maturity says, I've done the work. I'm not here to fix or be fixed. I'm here to share, to build, to grow. It's not just attractive, it's magnetic. Because when you're emotionally grounded, you naturally filter out chaos. You stop entertaining people who test your peace. You stop bending for approval or chasing closure. And that self-trust, that inner calm, it draws in people who respect your boundaries, who want to earn a place beside you. But emotional maturity isn't about being hard or guarded. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the ability to be vulnerable without feeling weak. It's having the courage to say, this is who I am, scars and all, and to say it without shame. When you can speak from your heart without apologizing for it, you set the tone. You don't chase, you invite. You don't demand, you inspire. You don't settle, you choose. And that brings us to the most magnetic quality of all, authenticity. Not the version of you you think men want to see, but the real you, the raw, honest, imperfect, fully alive version. There is something profoundly attractive about a woman who is not performing, not trying to mold herself to someone else's expectations. A woman who stands in her truth and says, this is me, take it or leave it. See, confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being whole. It's walking into a conversation without needing to dominate it. It's laughing loudly even when others don't. It's speaking up when something doesn't sit right, not to argue, but to honor yourself. That kind of authenticity creates gravity. It pulls people in. Why? Because it's rare. In a world full of masks and filters, the real you is like oxygen. And when you are confident in who you are, you give others permission to be real too. That's the secret. Real. Confidence doesn't intimidate, it liberates. It creates space for true connection. It shows that you're not afraid to be seen, and not just when you look your best, but when you're emotional, raw, even messy, you're still worthy, still powerful, still magnetic. Men feel this deeply, especially the kind who are ready for something real. They don't want a performance. They want presence. And that presence is created when you show up as your full self, without apology, without shrinking, without over-explaining, just being boldly, authentically, beautifully you. And yes, that might mean not everyone gets you. That's okay. When you're grounded in your emotional truth and your authentic self, rejection doesn't sting the same way anymore, because you're no longer searching for validation. You are the validation. You're no longer trying to fit into someone else's world. You've built your own. The women who attract deeply, soulfully, lastingly are the ones who've embraced this. They've stopped performing. They've stopped chasing. They've started radiating. That's not just a dating strategy. It's a life shift. It's stepping into the truth of who you are and letting that truth be seen fully, without fear, without masks, without permission. Because the truth is, the most attractive version of you isn't the one who tries harder. It's the one who lets go of pretending and shows up as herself, unfiltered, grounded, awake. That's the kind of woman a man doesn't just want to date. That's the kind of woman he can't forget. There's something breathtaking about a woman who is in love with her own life, not in a performative look at me kind of way, but in the way she lights up when she talks about what moves her, what excites her, what brings her joy. That kind of radiance doesn't come from someone else loving you. It comes from you choosing to be fully alive, regardless of who's watching. So many women put their passions on hold, tuck them away behind family, behind work, behind responsibility. And while that's often necessary, there comes a point where your soul starts to whisper, "What about me?" That whisper is not selfish. It's a lifeline. Because the most magnetic, captivating women are not the ones sitting and waiting for life to happen. They're the ones living it fully, boldly, with open arms and a curious spirit. You want to be truly irresistible? Reignite what makes you feel alive. Not for anyone else, but for you. Because when you do, your energy shifts. You smile more, not because someone told a joke, but because your heart is full. You walk differently. You hold yourself differently. You stop carrying the energy of waiting and start carrying the energy of becoming. Men are drawn to that kind of woman, not just because she's interesting, but because she's interested in the world, in herself, in new experiences. She doesn't need to be rescued from boredom or loneliness because she's created a world for herself that's rich and vibrant, and that makes a man want to be part of it, not to complete it, but to contribute to it. There's a common misconception that attraction fades with time, but what really fades is aliveness. And the good news is you can reignite that flame at any time. It's not about traveling the world or changing everything overnight. It's about saying yes to the little things that make you feel connected again. Yes to dancing in your kitchen. Yes to reading that book you've put off for years. Yes to learning, creating, expressing, living. When you are deeply in touch with your own joy, you become more emotionally available, more confident, more grounded. You stop placing the burden of happiness on someone else's shoulders. You show up full, not empty. And that fullness is magnetic. It tells the world, I'm already complete. I'd love for someone to join me, but I'm not waiting for it to happen to feel whole. It's in the laughter that comes from your gut, in the stories you tell, with eyes that sparkle, in the way you lean into your life instead of shrinking from it. That's what draws people to you. Passion isn't loud. It doesn't need to be shouted from rooftops. It's in the quiet confidence of knowing you're honoring yourself, your desires, your soul. And once you've reignited that passion, something else naturally begins to flow. Presence, right? In a world that's always racing ahead, checking notifications, multitasking every moment, presence has become a rare and beautiful gift. And when you give that gift to someone, when you look into a man's eyes and truly see him, hear him, feel him, it creates something unforgettable. Being present means letting go of distractions, of overthinking, of rehearsing your next move. It means surrendering to the moment and allowing real connection to unfold. And it's not just powerful, it's intimate. Because when you are fully there with someone, you make them feel important, seen, valued. And that is one of the most deeply attractive experiences a person can have. Men don't always talk about it, but they crave that feeling of being with someone who isn't just physically near, but emotionally with them. And when you listen, not to respond, but to understand, when your eyes don't dart around the room, when your energy doesn't feel divided, it sends a clear message. I'm here, you matter. This isn't about pretending to be interested or playing some part. This is about cultivating a level of self-awareness and emotional availability that allows you to be with someone in that moment completely. And that's powerful because presence builds trust. Presence creates space, and presence opens the door to real intimacy, not the kind that's rushed or forced, but the kind that unfolds naturally. There's a softness to presence, but also a strength. That means you're secure enough to just be without needing to impress, control, or anticipate. And in that quiet strength, you create room for someone to meet you where you are as you. When you combine that presence with a life that you genuinely love, when you radiate joy and hold space with grace, you don't have to chase attraction. You become it. You become the kind of woman who doesn't need to perform because her life speaks for her. Her energy tells the story, and that story is one of wholeness, depth, and real connection. There's a quiet kind of power that often goes unnoticed. It's not the loudest voice in the room. It's not the most glamorous entrance or the most polished words. It's the calm in your tone when you say no. It's the warmth in your eyes when you mean yes. It's the way you carry yourself with grace, but not at the expense of your boundaries. This is soft power. And it's magnetic. In relationships, there's a delicate dance between openness and self-protection. The temptation, especially if you've been hurt before, is to build walls, to become guarded. But what if you didn't have to harden to protect yourself? What if the most powerful thing you could do was to lead with softness and with strength? You can be gentle and still have edges. You can be nurturing and still be immovable when it comes to your values. You can speak with kindness and still be clear about what you will and won't allow into your life. This is the essence of feminine strength. It doesn't need to yell to be heard. It doesn't need to dominate to be respected. It's felt, it's sensed. And when you embody it, the right kind of man will lean in, not pull away. When you express your boundaries with calm certainty, it's not about control, it's about self-respect. You're not making demands, you're setting the terms of your peace. And the beauty is you don't need to explain or justify. The right person will understand without needing a long speech, because boundaries, when held with quiet confidence, speak louder than any words ever could. And this is especially important when it comes to attraction. So many women are taught to accommodate, to bend, to please. But there's nothing more alluring than a woman who is kind and self-honoring. She's not rude, not abrasive, not cold, but she knows her limits. She knows her worth, and she refuses to sacrifice it just to be chosen. Men pick up on this energy instantly. When you carry yourself with this blend of softness and resolve, you create a natural polarity. You say, without saying, I am open to love, but I am not available to chaos. That's what draws in emotionally mature partners, because you're not begging to be loved. You're inviting someone to step into the fullness of who you are and meet you there. And in that space, something else is born, something many confuse with playing hard to get. But it's not about games. It's about mystery. And not the kind that manipulates or withholds, but the kind that reveals itself slowly, like pages in a novel you can't stop reading. There is such beauty in a woman who doesn't rush to lay all of herself bare, who doesn't feel the need to explain her entire life story on the first date, who allows connection to build over time, letting her layers unfold naturally. This kind of mystery isn't about hiding who you are. It's about honoring the rhythm of real intimacy. It's about understanding that you are not for immediate consumption. You are for discovery. That discovery is what keeps the dynamic alive because, let's be honest, part of what makes attraction last is the sense that there is always more to learn about someone, more to experience, more to uncover. And when you embody mystery, not by being elusive, but by simply staying grounded in your selfhood, you keep that spark alive. You don't need to tell him everything right away. Let your energy, your presence, your subtle cues speak louder than your words. Let him wonder about the book you're always reading, the quiet smile you give when something reminds you of your past, the reason your eyes light up at a song you never heard before. Those little things, they create curiosity, they spark desire, and most importantly, they invite real connection. But mystery isn't just about what you withhold. It's about what you choose to share. It's about offering parts of yourself with intention, not out of fear, not out of strategy, but out of knowing your value. When you know you're worth exploring, you don't rush the process. You allow him to earn the right to see the deeper parts of you. And let's be clear, this isn't about manipulation or mind games. It's about respect for yourself, for your story, for your emotional depth. It's about showing up as a woman who understands that she's not here to impress, but to connect, to be seen, to be known, but only by the ones who show they are worthy of that knowing. When you walk through the world with soft power and mystery, you shift the entire conversation around attraction. You stop wondering how to be more appealing, and you start remembering that the most appealing thing you can ever be is yourself, fully, unapologetically, with tenderness and fire, with openness and discernment, with love, not just for someone else, but for the incredible woman you've become. There's something magnetic about someone who knows how to communicate, not just to speak, but to truly connect. The way you express yourself, the way you listen, the way you hold space for another person's truth without losing your own. That's where real intimacy begins. Because in the end, attraction doesn't live in how you look or what you wear. It lives in the space between two hearts trying to understand each other. And when you become a woman who communicates from the heart, not from fear, you become unforgettable. Too often, communication gets tangled up in old wounds and unspoken fears. Maybe you were taught to stay quiet, to keep the peace. Maybe you've been dismissed one too many times, so you learn to shut down instead of speak up. But here's the truth. Your voice matters, your needs matter, your feelings, especially the tender, uncomfortable ones, are not a burden. They are bridges. And when you share them with grace and courage, you invite a man into deeper emotional connection, not surface level charm, not small talk, but real soul level understanding. It starts with knowing yourself, with being honest about what you want and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. When you can express that, not with blame, not with bitterness, but with the calm, clear truth, you set the tone for how you are to be treated. That doesn't mean you will feel afraid. Vulnerability always feels risky. But it also builds trust. It shows that you are brave enough to be seen and strong enough to hold space for someone else in return. There's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting comes from old pain. It's fast, defensive, sometimes sharp. Responding, though, that's rooted in presence. It's thoughtful. It's grounded. When you respond instead of react, you shift the energy. You don't escalate, you elevate. And that makes you a safe space, not just for someone else, but for yourself. And let's not forget listening, not just nodding along, but truly hearing someone, listening to understand, not to reply. That kind of listening creates emotional intimacy faster than anything else. It says, I care enough to know you, not just to be known. And when both people feel seen and heard, that's when something beautiful begins to unfold. Not just attraction, but bonding. But none of this works unless you're honest. And not just honest with others, honest with yourself. So many women shrink their needs, silence their desires, or pretend to be okay just to keep someone close. But what's the point of being loved for a version of you that isn't real? True attraction, the kind that lasts, is built on truth. And truth is magnetic. So speak with kindness, but speak your truth. Say what you mean, ask for what you need, and be willing to walk away from anything that asks you to be less than who you are. That's not hard, that's holy. That's how you rise in love instead of falling into it. And when you combine that level of self-honesty with gratitude, you step into your highest, most radiant energy. Gratitude isn't just about saying thank you. It's a way of seeing, a way of showing up in the world. When you start to see your life, your body, your heart, your story, not through the lens of what's missing, but through the lens of what's here, everything changes. Gratitude softens you. It opens your heart. It makes you luminous in a way that no amount of makeup or charm ever could. Because a grateful woman is a powerful woman. She's not waiting for life to get good. She already sees the beauty. She's not chasing a man to make her feel valuable. She already knows her worth. And that energy, it draws in love like a magnet. Men feel it. They feel the difference between someone who's focused on lack and someone who's anchored in abundance. Gratitude doesn't mean you settle. It doesn't mean you don't want more. It means you honor where you are even as you move forward. And that creates a joy that's contagious. Start small. Gratitude is a practice. It's in the morning light hitting your skin. It's in the smile of a stranger. It's in the lessons you've learned through pain, the strength you've built through struggle. The more you focus on what's working, the more beauty you'll find. And the more you see beauty, the more beautiful you become to yourself and to others. There is nothing more attractive than a woman who has found peace within herself, who speaks her truth with softness and certainty, who listens with her whole heart, who radiates joy not because life is perfect, but because she chooses to see it through the lens of grace. That kind of woman isn't chasing love. She's attracting it. Not by force, not by strategy, but by simply being open, real, grounded, and grateful. Here's the truth. You don't have to chase love. You become love. The most attractive thing you can do at any stage of life is to own your journey boldly, joyfully, and without apology. Now, I want to hear from you. What resonated most? What are you ready to step into? Let's light up the comments with real talk, support, and connection. If this sparks something in you, like the video, share it with a friend who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more real, empowering conversations like this. And before you go, drop a comment with a topic you want me to dive into next. This is your space, your community, and your time. Until next time, keep your head high, your heart open, and never forget, your most magnetic self is already within you. Let's bring her out.